Greg Olson is a Messianic believer who lives in Jerusalem on the other side of the fence. I asked him about Israel's wall. Is it good or is it bad?
Well, it's a very opinionated question, Paul. The wall, from a stance of security, has been good for Israel and for Jerusalem. Since they've built the wall, we've had very few terrorist attacks. And so that's been good for the people, the residents of Jerusalem. We understand that it's been very hard because it was hard to disseminate where to put this wall for security purposes. We had there was families who lived in Bethlehem that sued to make sure they got put on the other side of the wall. They did not want to be on that. So it was very controversial, and I think Israel knew that when they built it was going to be controversial, but the main idea was security at the time.
Now, many Palestinians believe that it was a land grab. Would you agree with that?
My opinion is that it's not a land grab in the sense that since the Oslo Accord in 93 and the Western world accepting the fact that they wanted, and as President Bush said, we want two states. If the Palestinian Authority wants to become a legitimate sovereign state, it must expect there to be borders between its territory and Israel's territory. And I think many of these peace people didn't think about this part of it. And I think many of the poor Palestinians, who I understand it's very difficult, who make their living, their income from working in Jerusalem, for many of them, second generations, it's been a shock for them because they were not ready. They're thinking, okay, autonomy, our own rule, our own thing, our own vote. But I don't think they realize that with two states, borders are a natural part of two sovereign states.
Now, how has the wall changed things for the residents of Jerusalem?
I think there's a sense of peace. It's not an attractive thing when you see it. For the people who live in Gilo, they look at it, it's kind of ugly. Everybody agrees it's ugly. But again, for the people in Jerusalem, I think there's a sense of security because it's actually had that effect. If they had built the wall and we had bus bombing, I think the Jerusalemites would say, well, why did we do this? It's done nothing. But there has been a real tangible effect, and we have not had a bus bombing, thank God, in a long time.
Now, Palestinians can't come into Israeli territory without permission, and Israelis cannot go into Palestinian territory. How do you bring Israelis and Palestinians together because there's a wall right down the middle?
It's difficult. There's been many peace initiatives, the Paris Peace Center, and all the different things where they're trying to bring people together to have peace, to build relationships. But again, it gets back to this national mindset, and which I come from America. I have a nationalistic American attitude. You're from the UK. You're British. So we have this mindset that, okay, I'm Israeli, I'm Palestinian, and the division and the wall comes up because you have borders and all this. But it's been difficult for those people to get together, and especially for believers in this situation, because it's difficult. We have believers in Bethlehem, we have believers in Jerusalem, real believers that really love the Lord, but that wall has made it difficult.
Now, many Palestinians say that they feel like corporal punishment. Would you agree with that?
In a practical sense, when they come out the door and they see a fence, I can see their understanding of that. But again, I think it was maybe their government did not do such a good job explaining to them, we want a state, it's going to create a border if we have two states. And the land grab, as far as what is the land grab, what's not a land grab, where the fence needs to go, where the fence wasn't going to go, that's all up in the air. Now, they built the fence for security. Ariel Sharon said it would not be the final peace agreement, the final border, knowing it would probably have to be moved in different places. But he never said there would not be a border. So I think it's been very difficult. But as far as the land grab, it's still being negotiated. It is right now a security fence. Do I personally believe it could become part of the final status quo, the final agreement, if there was one between the two people groups? I do think part of it will become a border eventually. But we have to pray that the Palestinian people in Bethlehem will be able to live their lives as Palestinians with their government, if this is what they want to believe and have, and that does cut them off from Jerusalem. But there is I do know for a fact that they're trying to build a corridor around East Jerusalem, so there will be a continuous road and private autonomy between Ramallah, East Jerusalem, and into Hebron. So that is something that's all being negotiated. But I understand their feelings about that, but I wouldn't say it's corporal punishment. They're not trying to hurt the Palestinian people. Israel's not. As you know, many of the people lived very well under the idea of control in Bethlehem. They were very prosperous. And since the autonomy has been given, it's been very difficult for many of them economically, and I think maybe even some of the psychology of it, not really recognizing that they were going to create two states, a border was going to eventually be created.
Now, how is the security being now in Jerusalem?
As we said earlier, I think the security is vastly improved, and we thank God for that, because no one wants to see anybody killed through terror. War is war, and there's always death in a real war. But terrorism is, of course, the most horrible thing, because innocent civilians are targeted, not non-combatants, as you would say under international law. And there's been atrocities and horrible things happen on both sides. But I hope and pray that in the future that things will get better. But again, from living in Jerusalem and West Jerusalem here, and this part of Jerusalem, I definitely feel like I'm not, every time I get on the bus now, looking back over my head. Every time I get on the bus, being concerned about, is there someone going to get on here? So it's obviously had an effect of security, feeling at least more secure.
Prayer is important, particularly in this land. Pray for the Jewish people that they will have peace and security. Pray also for the Palestinians that the burdens they face with roadblocks and travel restrictions will be eased. But most of all, pray that Arabs and Jews would come to know Jesus as their Savior, joined together as one body in real shalom peace.